So let's talk about something that's totally changing the game for businesses: cloud data analytics. We're talking about a massive shift, moving way beyond just looking at reports about what happened last quarter. This is about starting to genuinely see what's coming next. And believe me, this isn't just about new tech, it's a completely new way of thinking.
All right, let me ask you something. For years, analytics has basically been a rearview mirror, right? It's been great for helping us understand what already went down, but the real power, the true revolution, happens when we use that same data to look out the windshield and see the road ahead.
Okay, so here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to map out this whole landscape in 5 clear steps. We'll kick things off with how analytics has evolved. Then, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of building the foundation you need. After that, we'll see how to unlock the real power in your data, talk about why the human side of this is so critical, and finally, wrap up with a practical path to get you started.
First up, the analytics evolution. So what kicked this all into 5 gear? What was the big bang for this new era? Well, the answer is pretty simple: the cloud. Its incredible speed and unbelievable scale, that became the rocket fuel, accelerating everything.
So this evolution really plays out across 4 key stages. First up, you've got descriptive analytics. That's your classic report. What happened? Then, things get more interesting with diagnostic analytics. This is where you play detective and figure out why it happened. From there, we jump into the future with predictive analytics, which uses things like machine learning to forecast what might happen. And finally, you get to the top of the mountain, prescriptive analytics, which actually recommends what you should do about it.
Now here's a really important point. Modern analytics isn't about just tossing out the old stuff. Not at all. It's about adding new, much more powerful tools to the toolbox. Every single one of these types has value because each one answers a different, really crucial business question.
In this comparison, man, this really gets to the heart of it. On one side, you have that old-school on-prem world, just a mess of complexity, fragmented systems, painfully slow, and super expensive to scale. And on the other side, you've got the modern cloud, cohesive, scalable on a dime, incredibly fast, and you just pay for what you use. It's a whole different ballgame.
So this brings up a huge mistake people make. You can't just take your old system and drop it onto a cloud server, what people call lifting and shifting, and expect magic to happen. It just doesn't work. It's literally like putting a lawnmower engine in a Ferrari. Sure, it's a Ferrari, but you're not getting any of the performance it was built for. You've got to have a cloud-native architecture.
All right, let's move on. Now that we kind of get the why, let's dig into the how. We're going to go inside the engine room, so to speak, and see exactly what it takes to build a solid data foundation. This is all the critical, behind-the-scenes work that makes everything else possible. Okay, the first problem you've got to solve is that classic business headache: data silos. You know what I'm talking about, right? You've got your marketing data over here, your sales data over there, operations data is somewhere else entirely. It's impossible to get a single clear picture of what's going on. A centralized cloud data platform is like the master plumbing that connects everything, breaking down those walls to create one single source of truth.
But, okay, once you bring all that data together, how do you stop it from becoming a total mess? How do you make sure it's accurate and secure? That's where data governance comes in. Just think of it as the rule book. It's an absolutely non-negotiable foundation for building trust in your data and, avoiding some really expensive compliance fines.
And getting governance right, it's not magic. It really just boils down to 5 core ideas. First, you centralize the data. Then, you have to be relentless about focusing on its quality. Third, you build a data catalog so people can actually find what they need. And finally, you protect it all with consistent security and automated compliance checks. You're basically turning chaos into a trusted, valuable asset.
So, with that solid, governed foundation locked in, we can move on to the really exciting part: unlocking the true power of your data. This is where we go from just having a bunch of raw information to creating real, tangible business value for the whole organization.
You know, a huge part of this is a concept called the democratization of analytics. And look, that sounds fancy, but the idea is actually super simple. It's not about trying to make everyone a data scientist. It's about breaking down walls and getting the right insights into the hands of the people who can actually use them to make smarter decisions, whether that's an executive looking at a dashboard or a frontline worker getting real-time info.
So how does the tech make this possible? Well, one of the key shifts is moving from something called ETL to ELT. The old way, ETL, meant you had to extract data, transform it on some slow, separate server before you could load it. The modern ELT approach just flips that on its head.
You extract the raw data and load it directly into the cloud first, and then use the massive power of the cloud to run all your transformations. It's not just a different order, it's a fundamental change that unlocks incredible speed and flexibility.
But as we've been hinting at, this isn't just a technology project. In fact, the tech is often the easiest part. For this to really, truly succeed, we have to look at the human side of data, the culture, the people, the ethics. That's what ultimately determines if you win or lose.
So, here's the bottom line. You can have the absolute best technology in the world, but if your company culture doesn't support a data-driven mindset, it will fail. I'm telling you, this cultural shift is almost always the hardest part of the entire journey, and it absolutely has to have support from the very top of the organization.
And building this kind of culture really rests on a few key pillars. You need that executive sponsorship, of course. You probably need a center of excellence to act as the hub for expertise. Operationally, it demands a real partnership between IT and the business folks. And for your people, it means investing in data literacy training and setting up clear ethical guidelines so everyone uses data responsibly.
Okay, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds like a massive undertaking, maybe a little overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. Let's get into our final section and lay out a practical, step-by-step roadmap that can make this journey feel achievable for anyone.
Here it is, your 6-step path. First, just take a good hard look at where you are right now. Then, get the right team together and, crucially, find that executive sponsor. Third, choose a platform that's comprehensive enough to grow with you. Fourth, you've got to carefully plan your data migration. Fifth, and this one is so important, launch a small but high-impact pilot project. Prove the value early. And finally, once you've proven it works, get ready for success because the demand for more is going to come fast.
So, we'll end with this thought. The value is already there. It's hidden inside the data your organization creates every single day. The technology to finally uncover it exists right now. So the only real question left is, who are you going to empower to find it?